I don't exaggerate when I say this, but over 10 years ago, I started to raise the alarm around the financial repercussions for the middle class. I was running seminars all over the world, and I was trying to wake up people to the fact that the middle class has become very complacent. The middle class also, it appeared, were not interested in economic affairs or political affairs. And I also found that the middle class mindset was that once they have their house and once they have their car and they can afford to spend money on lifestyle and socializing, that most of them from that point on stopped planning and stopped thinking about their future. They were easily satisfied, and most of them did not see the macro changes that were to come, which are now taking place. And a lot of people are saying that it's the cost of living crisis, but in my view, it is not a cost of living crisis that just cropped up suddenly. This has been planned for many, many years, and I could see all the signs indicating to the lead up of what has happened today, where the middle class is struggling. And I really strongly believe that over the next decade, the middle class is going to become poorer economically. So I want you to understand what the reason is. Why am I saying this? Just trying to alarm people? Why would I try and say something that is not in line with popular opinion, that is going to get me disliked? Well, it's very simple. It is the truth. And I'm going to tell you why I know for a fact that the middle class is in a lot of trouble unless they start to shift their mindset and their behaviors around money. The first reason I believe that the middle class is going to struggle financially over the next coming decade is that they have no planning for inflation. Inflation is the cost of living going up over a period of time, the cost of products and services that goes up over a period of time. And if you look at the middle class, majority of them who are comfortable in their jobs, they'll be lucky if they get between a 3 to 5% salary increase. Now, if inflation is running at more than 5%, you're actually losing the purchasing power of your current money. And so what people are not realizing is that if they don't have a plan to have their incomes grow faster than the rate of inflation, their actual purchasing power is being eroded over a period of time. And I don't see a lot of people in the middle class that are actually planning to mitigate this risk by either increasing their income dramatically over the standard increases that they get, or by building multiple sources of income. The second reason I believe that the middle class is in economic trouble over the next coming decade is because they have no planning for emergencies. I know a lot of people who have zero plans if something was to go wrong. If they got sick, if one of their loved ones got really sick, if they had an accident, if there was an event that they had not catered for, if they have investments, for example, people who have investment properties, if they were unable to find tenants, if there was damage to the property, if there was a natural disaster, I know that a lot of people have zero plans for emergencies. And that also includes, by the way, job losses and things like that. So I know that many people are just skating on thin ice, and all it will take is one event to completely wipe them out or to dramatically take them backwards economically. The third reason I know that the middle class is in a lot of trouble economically over the next coming decade is because they have no planning on managing market volatility. So even if they have stock market exposure through their retirement funds or through mutual funds that they've built themselves, the reality is a lot of them don't know how to diversify their portfolios, and they have not really worked on their own psychology and on their own emotions. And a lot of them don't have media literacy, something that I talk about in my book, Indoctrination. So what's going to happen is when the next time the market crashes or the next time the market corrects, you'll see that a lot of middle class are going to react the wrong way. And maybe because they have a lot of concentration in stocks, and they don't have an adequate level of diversity, and they don't really know how to manage their emotions, and they don't really know the biases that exist in the media, a lot of them are going to react in such a way that it's going to blow up their portfolio and take them backwards financially. The fourth reason I know that a lot of the middle class is in trouble over the next coming decade is because they have no planning for their own retirement. Most of them have never worked out what level of income they're going to need in the future, and most of them have never worked out, after applying indexation, what that income is going to look like in the future. And most of them have never done a calculation on what type of net worth they're going to need that is going to generate that desired level of income annually in such a way that the money never runs out. and doesn't create any dependence. That's one of the reasons I know. If you don't believe me, you can just go and talk to your friends who are just in average 9 to 5 jobs or above average 9 to 5 jobs, and just ask them, how much money do you need for retirement? How are you tracking towards it? What is your plan to get there? And you'll see that you'll just get a blank look, because most of them have never thought about it. They don't even want to think about it. They find it too confronting, so they just avoid these conversations. But it's because of that avoidance behavior, I believe that they're going to be in a lot of trouble over the coming decade. The fifth reason I know that the middle class is in a lot of economic trouble over the next coming decade is they have no plan for debt amortization. A lot of them have taken on debt to fund their education, to fund the purchase of their car, to fund the purchase of their house. But most of them don't actually know what is the maximum level of debt that people can carry before it becomes detrimental to their financial future. Most of people don't actually know what the formulas are. And so they just go to the bank, and whatever the bank gives, if they think that they can afford the EMI or the repayments, they just basically sign up for that debt. And a lot of people also have consumer debt, credit card debt, things like that. And I don't think majority of people actually have a plan to make sure that the debt is entirely eliminated at some point in the future. And so if the debt is not eliminated and you carry that debt into your future, especially into your retirement, those EMI payments are going to take up a lot of your retirement income. It's going to suck a lot of your retirement income, leaving you with less and less money to live. I don't think majority of people have actually thought about what is their debt amortization plan, especially as it applies to their homes. It's interesting when I see people, I see that they carry all this debt simply because the bank says that they can. But a lot of them are not going to be able to pay the principal off. And so what's going to happen is they'll just keep extending those terms, or they'll just keep making interest payments. And what's going to happen is that the principal amount is not going to be completely wiped off, and that's going to put severe financial pressure on them at some point in the future. And the last reason I know for a fact that the middle class is going to be in for economic trouble in the next coming decade is that they have no planning to build more than one source of income. They actually don't even think that they need to plan for this. And if you look at the trends are pretty clear. There is going to be more outsourcing, there's going to be more automation. And so what's going to happen is, through artificial intelligence as well, there's going to be incredible amount of job losses. Only recently, Elon Musk was talking about introducing a UBI, universal basic income, because they're concerned at the level of unemployment that's going to take place and what it's going to do with the majority of people. Because when people are unemployed, how are they going to afford to buy food and pay their bills? So this is already something that's being in the talks amongst the globalist elites and the billionaires. They're already talking about the fact, because they already know that this is going to happen. My question is, how many middle class people do you know who are planning or working actively on building more than one source of income so that they can secure themselves against this risk, this inevitable risk that they're heading towards? The point of this video is simply to wake people up. The fact is that until you really understand the problem, you understand the cause of the problem, and you understand the impact of the problem, most people you'll find are not really going to commit themselves to a solution. And so the whole idea is for people to understand and take this seriously. And then the next step, of course, is to have some sort of a plan and strategy to improve their financial literacy, to improve their entrepreneurial education, so that they can start to work towards these things. If you don't build that type of education, you're inadvertently putting yourself at risk. And for me, it's simply an opportunity to wake people up and say, hey, it's not the poor that are going to become poor in the future. It is the middle class that are expected to become poor in the future.